Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to take a look at our A and C bin. So I've got two of these bins going. It's been 19 days since our last update, and hopefully these bins are starting to move along a little bit more. I know that we have been finding larger and larger worms in them, but right now what we're going to do is we're going to take out all of those large worms so I can use those in another system actually, which is one of my time-lapse videos that I'm putting together right now. So I want to use these in the time-lapse system, so we're going to take out all the large worms that we find, and we're going to continue to put them back on the shelf and see if they repopulate and we get some more large worms in this system. So we're going to do this for both systems. We're going to take out all the large worms, we're going to leave the smaller ones in there, and maybe even, maybe just primarily babies and cocoons, and we'll go from there and see how this works. So with that, let's take a look at the first system, which is the busboy tray, and then we'll look at the 10-gallon tote after that. So let's go take a look. All right, first off, you can see the date here of 2/10, so right over there. And that's our last update. Today is the 1st of March, so let's just move this down a little bit. And let's start digging in here. First thing first, let's take off this cover. Just kind of shake some material off there. I do see some mites building up on there, right there in that corner, it looks like. There's a baby worm right there. I'm not seeing too many others in this. Well, actually, here's another one right over here, it looks like. There's another baby worm. I've got that somewhere in focus. But there's a baby worm right over there too, or a couple of them. So quite a few on the top there, but I am seeing some mites. So, and I see some mites have been crawling around on here to begin with, but that's okay. I've noticed that that's been happening more and more. So first thing first, I'm going to put on a glove here. So I've got my glove, and I have a container here. Let me just make sure it's fully empty. Right here, that we're going to use to put all the worms in here. So we can already see some large ones on top here. We're just going to go ahead and drop those in here. If they don't squirm away from me. Alright, maybe not. Maybe we'll have to dig down in here and get them. So far, this is the last side we fed on. We'll just go ahead and dig this side up right now. Just take a look. Look at this. Already quite a few in here, which is a good sign. These worms look pretty large too. I mean, look how... These are the African Nightcrawlers, but look how large that worm is. So, they're going to get into a nice system with lots of food in it. But for right now, I just want to pull them out of here. Because I really want to try to get... And this actually looks really good because I did not have... When I did this originally, I did not have a lot of big worms in here, remember? I tried to empty all of them out when I restarted this, or... I should say, I don't think I restarted it. Come on now. There we go. So as you can see right there, nice worms. But when I started the system, is when I first got the worms in, and then I emptied all the large worms I could find out of it. I took every single large worm out. Now I do have all these bins sort of sitting next to each other, and they do tend to wander a little bit, so they could have wandered in here from the other systems, but I don't think that's the case. I think that these worms are just prolific for multiplying very quickly. Let's just see here. A couple more right over here. And it's okay that I've got the extra paper in there too, that's fine. And of course I'm not going to be able to get every single worm out of here, but we can get pretty close to at least these large ones. And even these right here, these are a little smaller, but still we're going to go ahead and add those in. Let's bury this back down. Oh, here's a worm right here. So this one's a smaller one. Nice small African Nightcrawler in there. It just shows how well they're repopulating. This does need some moisture in here, I think. But we're going to continue to dig in here and just take a look. They are turning all this cardboard, by the way, into nice castings as well. So we're going to keep going. Oh, hold on. One more. We've already got quite a nice little pile in here, surprisingly. We've hardly even scratched the surface here. We've just done this one section. Granted, it was the last place we fed, but still. So we're getting quite a few out of here, which is a great sign, as I really wanted to build up this population. Definitely could use some water in here. Here's a mango seed. Alright, I just realized that my camera went out here in the middle of doing this, but let me show you what I got out of this system here. And that is this many worms right here. So there's a good pile of worms right here. And these guys are pretty... It's a lot more than I expected to get out of here. I didn't count them, but that's probably a good 50 to 100 worms. Or probably at least 75. So there's quite a few in here. And I didn't really check through this very carefully. I just sort of skimmed the surface. However, the material in here is very, very dry. In fact, I can find another couple worms in here right here. So you can see this one's smaller. I'm throwing them in there too. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to saturate this down with some water, and I think I'm going to throw in a little bit of fresh bedding as well for them. Looks like it's getting quite consumed here. I mean, this material's really, a lot of it's really already been consumed by the worms here. They've done a great job on this material. But this castings are a little bit too dry, probably for them to survive, and great for sorting, but you know, to really have that, oh, more worms too. Look at that. A couple more out of there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the water that I have here with the BTI mix in it, and we're going to go ahead and add a bunch of that into here and sort of saturate this. And I know I'm just pouring it right on top here, but I can mix it up in a minute. We're going to take 2 of these though, and just pour it right in there. There we go. 2 big handfuls of that for right now. We're probably going to add some more in a minute, but what I want to do though is I sort of want to mix it up and make sure that we're getting this all spread throughout the system and not just in one location. Oh, there's another couple worms here too. I mean, look at this. We're finding more as I go. That's a good sign. But you can see this material's pretty dry. So hopefully this moisture will help them kind of perk up a little bit. And here's another worm. I'm just pulling them all out. Actually, 2 worms. There we go. I'm just kind of pulling out all the worms that I see, really. So I mean, there's definitely some that are probably missing in here, and another one right there. I'm just trying to, I want to make sure that this is nice and mixed up, get everything a little bit moist in here, make sure that there's nice microbial activity. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add in on this side right here. It's a little dry right there as well, but we're just going to go ahead and pile this up a little bit right there. We're going to add some more cardboard in here. This seems to be a favorite food of these African nightcrawlers. So this is dry cardboard. We're going to get it wet, and then we're going to go ahead and cover it with some of this other material. So here we go. I'm going to grab another one of these, pour that right in here. Yes, I know I could be adding wet newspaper, but storing wet newspaper or wet cardboard and stuff is really bad in a lot of ways. When you have worms, they're going to start eating that bacteria and mold that might grow on there. When you don't have them in there, what happens is you get mold and bacteria, and then it spreads through your house and causes all sorts of issues. So I have no desire for that to be an issue in my house, which is why it gets added and then gets wet. Oh, here's another worm right here. So there we go. And actually, oh, look at this little baby. We're going to leave the baby in here though. Look at that little baby worm right there. So they're definitely multiplying in here. There's probably more cocoons, more babies. Hopefully we'll see them multiply some more as we go through this in the future. But that's our update from this system, this bin right here. We're going to go take a look at another bin, and then we'll be done with our African nightcrawlers. But I think I won't have to harvest the 3rd system. I think both of these systems should get me enough worms really for the time lapse that I want to do. So let's go to the other bin and take a look. All right, here's the 2nd system right here. I already put on today's date of 3/1, so you can see 2/10 to 3/1, or 19 days. So we're going to flip this over now, and a lot of moisture on the lid here. Actually, you can already see there's a baby worm right there. There's another one right over here, and that's all I'm seeing here on the top here for baby worms. But a lot of moisture in this system compared to the other system. I think this lid is a little better at holding in that moisture, unlike the other one where it tends to escape out the sides. Now, I am going to search for worms in here as I have been in the other one. And I'm going to put them in that same container. So it's going to be hard to know how many are really in here, because I don't have another container to put it in nearby, do I? I don't see one that right nearby. So we're just going to kind of go through here. It looks like last time we fed in the center. Here's a little spider crawling across here. So they have plenty of food in this system, it looks like. This system looks like it's not quite as chewed through. So we're going to go ahead, grab these worms out of here as well and go ahead and add them to the pile over here as we find them. This side definitely has more food left, more paper, just more of everything. Now, I know that one other person in my comments mentioned that the tails of their worms seem to be falling apart for their African nightcrawlers. I'm not having that issue. I would think that that means that they are stressed in some way, or there's something wrong in your system. I would think protein poisoning or something would be the first thing, and there's some sort of trauma going on that's causing issues in the system. So that's my thought on that, by the way. So if you're having issues like that, definitely start trying to make a better area for your worms, or changing up the system in some way. I would definitely add some lime or something in the system that's going to maybe balance out the pH. So, here we go. Not nearly as many worms in this system so far, but the last time we did feed was in the center section. We'll see how many are there. They do seem to like this cardboard. There we go. Look at that one. They do seem to like this cardboard quite a bit. As you could tell from the last system, the food was still there, even though it had been there a while since we fed. But the cardboard is being eaten up very quickly. And this does feel still a little bit dry in the bottom here. Just throw this on this side, actually, instead of this side that we're working on. So I'm not seeing too many worms in this system here. Oh, I just saw one. I think this system is not doing quite as well as the other one is. There's a lot of castings over here on this side. I'm hoping that once the temperatures change here, that I'll see these systems work a little bit better. I think it's rough having the heater on them compared to having a real system. Actually, here's another little baby, or younger worm. I'm going to leave this guy in there. But you can see right there, I think. Nice little worm there. I'm not going to take out the small ones like that. I'm going to leave those in the system. But let's just see here as we keep going. Oh. Yeah, this system is not doing nearly as well as the other one did. Of course, the other one did have more time, and there could have been more babies in that system from when it started, since it started a lot earlier. It was the first system that ever received African Nightcrawlers in my house. And I just moved over a bunch of the adults to here to see if we could spread them out a little bit between this and one other system. There's another baby worm in there, or not baby, but definitely a juvenile. So I'm glad to see that they are multiplying in here. This was getting away. So again, the food, I didn't point this out in the other system, but there's still food left in here. So this is one of the banana tops. But the other system had quite a bit of like banana peel left. Here we go. Here's one of the really big ones in here. So they just don't seem to go after this food quite as readily. Like I would expect to see a lot of worms in this area. They didn't finish it, took them a while to finish that food, or most of it. There we go, another one. But overall, they're still... It's weird to have a clump like that in there. Maybe that's coffee grounds or something? Looks like it. All right. A couple more, actually. Oh, here's another one here that I must have missed. I thought I saw one more right here. All right, a couple more adults. Definitely not as many as the other system. Another one. I still think that we're going to have enough worms to maybe start this time lapse without having to get any more from another system. Well, I might grab a few more, maybe. We'll see. I do have the other African Nightcrawler system with the hamster bedding, which they're doing incredible in, and I could just grab a couple from the top there if I need them. I see this surprises me. I thought there'd be more towards the center section where I fed, but instead I'm finding them more on this side over here. This seems to be where the big ones are. I'm wondering if the middle is drying out from the couple more there, drying out from that heating mat a little bit too much, and they're gravitating away from it. So actually there's more over on this side than I thought. There's a bunch right here. Now, with me taking all the adults out of here, this should give room for the babies and the juveniles to kind of grow into this system and take up more space. And hopefully they will start, any cocoons that are in here, they will start also hatching as well. And we'll see more and more African nightcrawlers, even without me putting any in here, take over this system. So there's a lot over here in this corner. So they really seem to like the corner over here, which is surprising. I really thought they would have gravitated towards the food, but they really didn't seem to care for the food all that much, really. I mean, the food lasted a while in here compared to some of my other systems. So just so you can see here, there's how many worms I have left over now. That's a good amount of worms, and I think that's enough for my time-lapse video that I want to do. And I will wet them down before I put them in there, and I'll get them ready to go. But for right now, I think we're done with this system as well. Oop, well, it's just one more in here. And we're going to let this continue to go. I'm not going to add cardboard like I did to the other system. I don't think it needs it. Oh, I'm finding more. Okay, well, now this is making me feel better. I'm finding more worms. Maybe it's just harder to find with the cardboard in here. And some of these are a little bit smaller than the other system. So, yeah, let's say we got a good amount of worms out of here. So we're just going to go ahead and pile this back down. Maybe add a little bit of water to it. I don't know, it's hard to say. It's still moisture on the top. It's probably fine water-wise. I think we'll just leave it, actually, now that I think about it. I think it's going to be fine. And there's plenty of moisture in here. I think it's just dried out in the bottom, or looks a little dry because of the... because of the heating mat. I think that's drying it out. And actually, one last time here. Good amount of worms in here. Look at that. You can see this pile right here. It's a nice pile of worms right there. And they are ready for another system to try them out, and hopefully they'll also expand in that system as well, so we'll have even more worms. Now with that, let me put this lid on, and I think that's it for today. Thank you everyone for watching. And if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. I do try to get back to everyone. If I don't get back to you, please respond again. I am seeing an issue where there's sometimes people are commenting and I go to respond and then it says the comment's been removed. And I don't know if that's you removing them or YouTube removing them, because it's not me. So if you find that I'm not responding, check to see if you can find your comment and just respond one more time and I'll try to get back to you then. So with that, thank you for watching. And again, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Thank you.